What's up, everybody? It's your host Murray, and I'm back again for another segment of the House the Tech Built. And today, we're going to take a look at Apple's new product, the HomePod. So if you're like me, you probably heard a lot about this Apple HomePod. And I get a lot of questions. What is it? What does it do? And hopefully, after this segment of the House the Tech Built, you'll know exactly what it is, what it does, and who's it for. So, without further ado, let's get into this review. Okay, so for those of you who really don't keep up with the latest and greatest tech devices, then there's a fair chance you may have never heard of Apple's latest gizmo. So if you're wondering what is a HomePod, let me explain. In 2018, most of us have or know someone who has an Amazon Echo device with the personal assistant Alexa built in. But in case you have been sleeping under a rock for the past year or so, the Echo is a mega popular line of speakers which feature a voice-activated assistant, and these speakers are very popular for good reason. They are quickly becoming household staples that allow you to control smart home products, set alarms and timers, and answer questions that you may not be able to get an answer for otherwise. Although these speakers allow you to play voice-activated music on them, most of the current offerings have mediocre sound quality until now. The Apple company, which has a long history of music ties with iTunes, Apple Music, and most recently AirPods wireless earbuds, has finally decided to throw their hat in the smart speaker space with the HomePod. This is a smart speaker which they claim will have a heavy focus on sound quality to separate themselves from the competition. Now, of course, this comes at a very hefty price of $350 for one HomePod. Now, I can honestly say that I have thoroughly enjoyed my time with the HomePod so far, but it does have several limitations that could prove to be deal breakers for most buyers. Number one, there's no Bluetooth support or auxiliary in or out, so the only way to really use the HomePod is with Wi-Fi. Number two, the voice controls are only compatible with Apple Music. So if you have other music services that you prefer, you will have to manually go into the app of your musical preference and AirPlay the music directly to the HomePod. Number three, there is currently no support for Android devices, so unless you are an iOS user, you can't even set the HomePod up, let alone use it. And number four, currently there is no speaker pairing available or multi-room support as of yet, so you will not be able to pair two HomePods together for stereo sound. Now, Apple says this function is coming soon in a software update, but they haven't been given a timeline for the added features, so who knows when it's going to finally arrive. So I guess the next logical question is, who is the HomePod really for? And that's a really good question. So the best way I can answer this is by saying it's really for the Apple customers who are already invested in the Apple ecosystem. At a minimum, you should have an iOS device, an Apple Music subscription, and probably own a couple HomeKit compatible smart devices or plan on getting some in the near future. These are the only people I would seriously recommend trying the HomePod. For all others, you could probably sit this one out. So in true Apple fashion, setting up the HomePod was a breeze. All I had to do was hold my phone near the HomePod, and the startup menu quickly appeared on the screen. I hit the startup button, went through 3 or 4 menu prompts, and in no time at all, my HomePod was playing a chime on the speaker itself to let me know that everything was done. The whole process
To get my
probably
attention,
took less than
say,
2
"Hey
minutes.
Siri, let's try it." Say, "Hey Siri, what can you do?"
Hey Siri, what can you do?
I can do lots of things, like turn on the lights, give you a news update, and tell you about the weather. Now you try. Say, "Hey Siri, play some music."
Hey Siri, play The Weekend by SZA.
Okay, let's hear The Weekend by SZA.
Hey Siri, stop. In the Club by 50 Cent.
Okay, let's hear In the Club.
Now, controlling the HomePod is pretty straightforward. Since there are no actual physical buttons on the HomePod itself, use a series of taps in order to get the HomePod to respond. So if you manually want to control your music, you double tap the middle of the HomePod to fast forward to the next track. You triple tap the middle of the HomePod to rewind the track to the beginning or go to the previous track. There is a plus sign and a minus sign display on the top of the HomePod touchscreen. So if you want the volume up, you just hold the plus sign. If you want the volume down, you hold the minus sign. To start and stop your music, you simply tap the middle of the HomePod one time. And don't forget that all these controls can be activated by using Siri. So you can also just tell the HomePod what you want it to do. So after some preliminary listening, I walked away thinking, okay, the Apple HomePod sounded really, really good, but is it $365 good? And to answer that question, I decided to put it up against some of my Sonos speakers. Now, the Sonos Play 1 retails for about $150, and I put it up against the Sonos Play 1. I put it up against a stereo pair of Sonos Play 1s, which will retail for $300, still cheaper by $50 than one Apple HomePod, and I also put it up against the Sonos Play 5 speaker, which retails for about $500. So in the next few minutes, you're going to hear samples from all three, and you be the judge of what you think sounds better.
Yo, I'm ghetto, excuse me. 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 Yo, I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. Yo, I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. Yo, I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. Yo, I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. Yo, I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me. I'm ghetto, excuse me.
So my takeaway from the HomePod vs Sonos challenge is this. While one HomePod does sound significantly better than one Sonos Play 1 speaker, when you combine a Sonos Play 1 with another Sonos Play 1 to create a stereo pair, it was too much for the Apple HomePod. Also, the Sonos Play 5 is just too heavy of a hitter for the Apple HomePod to compete against. Okay, so you're probably wondering how the Apple HomePod stacks up against the Amazon Echo when it comes to being a smart assistant. So I'm going to issue a few commands and we'll see who gets the job done better. Hey Siri, who is Martin Luther King Jr.?
Martin Luther King Jr. was an American Baptist minister and activist who became the most visible spokesperson and leader in the civil rights movement from 1954 through 1968.
Okay. Alexa, who is Martin Luther King Jr.?
Martin Luther King Jr. was an American Baptist minister and activist who was a leader in the African American civil rights movement.
Okay, so they both did a pretty decent job at that question. Hey Siri, what's the weather today?
It's currently clear and 28 degrees in Farmington Hills. Expect partly cloudy skies starting tonight. Temperatures are heading down from 28 degrees this afternoon to 12 tonight.
Alexa, what's the weather today?
Right now in Farmington, it's 29 degrees with clear skies and sun. Today's forecast has mostly sunny weather, with a high of 29 degrees and a low of 9 degrees.
Okay, so they're pretty evenly matched when it comes to telling you the weather. Hey Siri, I need a recipe for baked chicken.
I can't get the answer to that on HomePod.
Alexa, I need a recipe for baked chicken.
Okay, for baked chicken, I recommend the top recipe called baked chicken, which takes 50 minutes to make.
Okay, so as you can see, the HomePod is not equipped to give you recipes on cooking, whereas the Amazon Echo is. Let's see if they can handle phone calls and text messages. Hey Siri, call mom.
I can't help you make calls on HomePod. Sorry about that.
Alexa, call mom.
Calling mom's mobile.
Hang up. Hey Siri, send Brianna a text message.
What do you want to say?
Hi.
Your message to Brianna says, "Hi. Ready to send it?"
Yes.
I'll send it.
Alexa, send Brianna a text message.
If you have an Android phone, go to the Alexa app to enable sending SMS messages. Then ask me to send a message.
Okay, so to make a long story short, the Apple HomePod does a pretty decent job at being a smart assistant. But if I had to give the nod right now, I would give it to the Amazon Echo. The Echo has just been around a lot longer. It works with a lot more products. It works with a lot more companies. So it has a bevy of information that the HomePod just doesn't have access to yet. Now, the HomePod could possibly get better in time, but only time will tell. But for right now, the smart assistant category has to go to the Amazon Echo. Okay, so now it's time to try out both of these assistants when it comes to controlling your smart home products. And by that, I mean your lights. You might have a smart lock, you might have a smart plug, and I've been living with the Amazon Echo for quite some time now. It does a pretty adequate job. And now I want to try the Apple HomePod to see how well it communicates with your smart home tech. So, hey Siri, turn the spa room blue.
Done. Some lights didn't respond. Check the Home app for more details.
Hey Siri, turn the spa room off.
Done. Some lights didn't respond. Check the Home app for more details.
Alexa, turn the spa room blue.
Okay.
Alexa, turn the spa room off.
Okay.
Okay, what's immediately noticeable is that, and this is across the board, it's not just with the light, but it's with my smart lock and all of my other products that are Apple HomeKit compatible. So if they're Apple HomeKit compatible and compatible with Alexa, I noticed that the Apple HomePod does a much better job, a much more efficient job when it comes to controlling. Okay guys, to kind of wrap things up here, the Apple HomePod really is a quality product. It more than holds its own when it comes to sound quality, and as an assistant, it's pretty decent. When it comes to controlling your smart home tech in your home, it does a really, really good job, better than anything else on the market at this time. But it's not a perfect device by any means, and I think it can only get better as time goes on. But for now, I can handily recommend it if you have an Apple ecosystem. If you're an Android user, then you might want to pass on this. So, that about wraps up this review. I thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until the next time, it's your boy Murray, the house that tech built. Peace.